The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to remove Republican Speaker Kevin McCarthy. It is the first time in history the Speaker has been voted out of the position and comes after a showdown between McCarthy and a small group of hard-right conservatives from his own party. Now, McCarthy has described his ousting as personal and said he will not stand for re-election.
Just days after narrowly avoiding a government shutdown, a rebellion amid the Republican ranks has thrust Congress into chaos. 8 hardline Republicans joined with Democrats in voting out Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, ending a rocky tenure for the Republican lawmaker.
The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Right-winger Matt Gaetz, a controversial firebrand from Florida, led the charge to oust McCarthy. He said the former speaker didn't do enough to curb government spending and made too many concessions to Democrats.
Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
During the vote, several of McCarthy's supporters warned that a vote against him was irresponsible.
Kevin McCarthy. Think long and hard before you plunge us into chaos, because that's where we're headed if we vacate the speakership.
In an address after his removal, McCarthy said he thought the vote was the product of a flawed political system.
In today's world, if you're sitting in Congress and you took a gamble to make sure government was still open, and 8 people can throw you out as Speaker, and the Democrats who said they wanted to keep government open, I think you got a real divide. I think you got a real institutional problem.
McCarthy also said he will not seek re-election. Congress is at a standstill until a successor is elected. Another government shutdown deadline is looming next month.
So this was a remarkable showdown. Let's hear more from DW's William Glucroft joining us now. William, good to see you. We still have a shutdown looming. Can the House continue with any form of business, or is the U.S. government basically on hold now?
Effectively, I guess it's a shutdown through the back door, given how unprecedented the situation is. As we just heard earlier, this has never really happened before in the House of Representatives. So people are scrambling to their rule books and to the procedural experts to see what happens now. But basically, no work can get done, no legislative work can get done without a Speaker of the House, a leader of the House of Representatives. There is a temporary fill-in Speaker of the House, but that person is really only empowered to basically see to the next Speaker of the House, the real Speaker of the House, to be voted in. And there's no knowing of when that next speaker might be, who it might be. Republicans are in disarray, and Democrats have a theoretical chance of having someone of their party lead Congress, but practically speaking not, since they don't have the majority. So as you said, shutdown is on the table, Ukraine funding is on the table, and just the general, day-to-day business of government, of passing laws, can't really happen until there is a new Speaker of the House. Completely unclear when that might happen.
And all of this, the result of the fact that 8 hard-right conservatives within the Republican Party wanted to get rid of McCarthy. Democrats could have stepped in to save him, but instead we've seen him ousted with a 216 to 210 vote. Can you help us make sense of exactly what is going on there?
Yeah, it's pretty bonkers politics, what we've been seeing in these last several days, even by U.S. standards, that have just been getting more and more bonkers over the last couple of years. I mean, let's back up a couple of days where we had a narrowly averted government shutdown. That only happened because Kevin McCarthy, after trying to make some kind of deal with his really hardline Republicans to pass some kind of budget or continuing resolution to fund the government, couldn't get it done, went to the Democrats, got Democratic support to avoid this shutdown, and got blamed for allying himself with the Democrats. And now a few days later, you have people like Matt Gaetz and other really hardline Republicans who were accusing McCarthy of selling out the Republicans to the Democrats, getting Democratic support to oust McCarthy. So there's a lot of shenanigans going on here. Democrats thought about maybe sitting this one out, but they ultimately decided McCarthy has not called out Donald Trump and all the efforts that Trump and his allies have done to seed misinformation and to instability with the election in 2020. He has, not been on their side at all, and he tried to throw the Democrats under the bus for blaming them for the shutdowns. The Democrats have no love lost for McCarthy, and were happy also for their own reasons to see him go.
So they've decided to let the Republicans get their own house in order. How are Republicans then going to deal with the fact that they're essentially being held to ransom by a fringe group of hard-right conservatives?
Right. Well, if we're talking about ransom, then we're talking about hostages. But then I think we need to be talking about Stockholm Syndrome, because let's clarify the misnomer that there's somehow this sort of, agreeable Republican Party and then these little bit of crazies on the side. I mean, the Republican Party has moved so far to the right. Remember, Kevin McCarthy himself voted to help or try to overturn the election results in 2020. One of many, many Republicans who either actively tried to overturn those results or has not publicly repudiated Donald Trump and his allies who believe the lie that the 2020 election was stolen. So it's not like you have Matt Gaetz's friends on the very far right. You kind of have the right and the very, very far right. So Republicans themselves are in disarray, essentially sleeping in a bed that they made by coddling and not calling out the really, really hardline members of their party who absolutely do not want to work with Democrats under any circumstances, want no bipartisanship of any kind. And some of them don't even believe that Joe Biden is the legitimate president of the United States, which of course he is. So this is kind of a chaos of the Republicans' own making. And then on top of that, all the bipartisan discord between Republicans and Democrats. It's going to be a very hard road going forward.
William, thank you so much for that analysis. That is DW's William Glicroft.